You all probably remember that snare tucked away in the corner, the $40 Amazon snare. I made a video about it. I'll leave a link if you missed it. But in that video, I asked you all what I should do with this snare drum, and my man Carlo, or CVL8, definitely check him out on Instagram and YouTube. He suggested that I Swiss cheese the crap out of this snare, and that got a whole bunch of likes, and then a bunch of other people suggested I do the same thing, so I guess I'm gonna drill some holes in this thing. Now usually when I do something like this, I'll take the drum apart, but since I want to see the true sound difference that these holes make in the shell, I already recorded the before demo, so how the drum sounds right now. So that way, after I put all the holes in the shell and go to record it, it'll be tuned exactly the same way. And I think my best bet is just to do a random pattern, so I have a whole bunch of drill bits and a fresh hole saw set. So let's drill some holes. So honestly, I'm not too surprised about how this drum sounds. The point of having a shell on a drum is to create resonance, and typically the harder the shell is, the more resonant it is. But when there is no shell, or there's less shell, there is, you guessed it, less resonance. So obviously in the case of this drum, it's very dry and dull and very flat sounding, and you get a lot of snare response. I'm also going to leave a link to Bang Drum's channel, who did a video similar to this, but instead of doing all the holes at once, he did one hole, tested it, did another hole, tested it, and so on and so on. So in that video, you can really see the progression that drilling holes in a shell really makes. And as cool as this drum looks, the holes are very sloppy and, ragged, and there's a lot of tear out on the inside of the shell. So for the sake of science, I'm going to take this one step farther and basically turn this shell into a skeleton. So the plan now is just to trace along all of the hardware, and then I'll take all the hardware off, and then whatever isn't traced around, I'm going to cut out. While I lay out the rest of the stuff, I wanted to talk about these Meze headphones. You might remember I did a review on the 99 Classics a while ago, but these are the 99 Neos. The main differences between the two are the ear cups on the Neos are made out of ABS plastic, and there's also a lower impedance, which means that there's less resistance, which means that they use less power basically. And honestly, ever since I got the 99 Classics, they have been my go-to pair of headphones, and you've probably seen me use them in a lot of my videos actually. But from what I can tell, the Neos are basically a budget version of the Classics. They're very similar in sound, not exactly the same, but they're still very clear and crisp, which is why I continue to use the Classics and now the Neos. Other than their sound, the second reason I like these so much is that they're super comfortable. I'm usually an in-ear headphone kind of guy just because they're so light, but these are light enough that I can wear them for extended periods of time without feeling like there's a giant clamp on my head. I've always been picky when choosing headphones. I would go back and forth and use multiple pairs for different listening environments, but as soon as I started to use the Mezes, they've been my go-to pair for just about everything. They are tuned perfectly for my needs. I can sit down and enjoy an album on them, or I can use them while playing drums, and honestly their sound combined with their looks and their comfort is the reason I continue to use them. So if you are interested in checking these out, I will have a link in the description to their website, and I'll also have a link to the original video I did on the 99 Classics. So I have everything laid out. Wherever there is Sharpie, I cut out. Wherever there isn't Sharpie, I don't cut out. Simple enough, so let's get to cutting. If you couldn't tell, it's a little bit awkward to play on the inside of that drum. So other than looking cool and almost looking like an acrylic shell from a distance because all you see is the snare side head, this is a goofy novelty snare that really makes no sense. Yes, you can play on the inside, but it's very goofy and very awkward. You have to raise the snare up, lower your throne down. That makes it hard to play on the batter side of the snare and play your other cymbals and toms and whatnot. So yeah, it's not very practical. And it's also probably not very strong, so if I was to tighten this head anymore, it'd probably just crack the whole shell. Or what's left of it, at least. And again, the sound of the snare is not very surprising to me, and the reason it sounds better, or at least I think it sounds better than the Holy snare, is this I tuned to sound good how it is right now. With the Holy snare, I kind of forgot and only played it how it was tuned before I drilled all the holes. So I think if I actually took the time to tune the drum how it was in that state, it would sound a little bit better than what I showed in the demo. So even with that being said, I would not recommend doing this or drilling a bunch of holes in your shell and making a Swiss cheese snare. Sure, it makes sense with cymbals, but not so much with drums. As always, I'd love to hear what you guys think about these two drums, so let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any stupid ideas like this, then definitely let me know. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe and all that other jazz. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.